get over here. I gotta whisper something to you. Sup? Welcome to Tales Tomorrow. I'm Morrow, your storyteller for today. With me have some more RPG horror stories. Man, I've been in such a D&D mood as of late. I'd taken a break after running the big festival event that I was gonna run for my players, and that finally finished, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna take maybe 5 days. I immediately jumped into trying to homebrew something else as well. I can't stay away from D&D, dude. It's just, as soon as I take even a minute break, I immediately come up with an idea, and I try to get something cooked up so I can play with my friends. TTRPGs are really an addiction. Speaking of addiction, RPG horror stories. Let's get some for today. Would I be the a-hole if I asked a player to get rid of a magic item? This happened last night, and I just can't get over it. I was playing a paladin, and the other player was a bard. The other 4 players aren't important to the situation. We're going through what is essentially a magic seed vault, the place overgrown and filled with jungle monsters, which even included a parrot bear from the session before this. In this session, we were up against some kind of a plant zombies, but they're on the other side of a broken bridge or a spike pit. We debated how we should get across. I was about to suggest that I cast Find Steed, and we have the steed leap across the gap while carrying 2 or 3 of us. Me and our rogue could take the plant zombies up close while the casters hit them from the distance. I was going to suggest that, but before I could, the bard said they would pull from their modified deck of many things. They ended up pulling a card that randomly turned one of the zombies into an ancient black dragon. We're all level 6, by the way. Why did the DM give the player deck of many things just to pull cards out of? That's a horrible idea. Deck of many things can be pretty powerful and pretty busted and pretty chaotic and crazy. Why don't you just give the player just to pull out for some sort of whatever? Make it an event or something. Maybe have a modified deck of not so many things, you know? Maybe something that's not too excessive, because deck of many things can completely flip the campaign on the side of the head. It just will be really, really ridiculous. Unless the DM somehow saves it. We'll see. Needless to say, the fight went south fast and I died, along with the wizard, barbarian, and the druid. The rogue ran away and survived. Now, because of backstory stuff, the bard made a deal with the goddess to revive a few of us, but only the wizard and druid were revived, while me and the barbarian remained dead. Dragon even ended up eating me. Safe to say, I am not happy about any of this. DM said I might be able to bring back my paladin, but I don't think he would trust the bard after this, especially if they keep those damn cards. I can make a new character, but who's to say that something like this wouldn't happen again? What I want to do is ask if I can get rid of the deck. However, I can't think of a way to ask something like this without looking like the a-hole. I want to keep playing and I love my group, but I don't think I can say in the game if these cards are allowed to stay. What do I do? Would I be the a-hole if I told the bard to get rid of the magic item that killed my character? I know it's an awful thing to do, to tell a player that they can't have something, but I don't know if I can keep playing with it. Edit. I talked to the DM and told him how I felt. I explained to them that I wasn't trying to make any kind of ultimatum or anything like that. I just wanted the item gone if we can all agree that it needs to go. Long story short, we came to a compromise. The deck will stay, but won't be used all willy-nilly. Basically, it's a life or death situation only thing. Honestly, I'm not really happy with this conclusion, but I don't want to push it. I do really like this group, and this was the first ever problem we've had. If things change, for better or worse, I'll do part 2. Edit 2. DM decided to kick me. I won't lie, I do understand the reasoning, but I'm still upset about the whole thing. I guess our styles just didn't mesh. It was getting crowded anyway, so maybe for the best. Maybe it is for the best. I mean, if the DM is that hard-pressed to make sure that the deck of many things stays because they want the player character to have a specific deck of many things, maybe they like the chaos. Maybe they enjoy the chaotic nature and things can just flip upside the head like crazy. Like, deck of many things can create and change the game in such significant ways. I don't know who in their right mind would ever want to put in a sensible game with some sort of a story, deck of many things, in a one-shot, where just whatever. Sure, I could see that. But if you're running like a proper campaign with characters and stuff that have like a long-standing time, deck of many things just gonna flip things upside the head. And unless you kind of DM that can definitely find a way to make it work or have a slightly adjusted deck of not so many things and stuff, I feel like deck of many things is just such a monkey's wrench. It's such a monkey's paw that is just not going to be great for the campaign. You're fully within your right to be upset that the deck of many things is there, because it literally was the reason why a character died for no stupid reason. Simply because the bard said, I'm pulling a card. What is it going to be? Oh, ancient dragon. Oh boy, everybody dies now, I guess. It's also pretty unfair for the bard. You know, actually, I got a question. Why did the bard get some sort of deal to be revived immediately. By any chance, is your DM playing favorites with the bard? Why the bard has deck of many things, not anybody else? Why did the bard end up making a deal with some sort of a god or deity to revive them in case they died, but nobody else got it? I mean, only the bard was able to receive that specific thing. Is there some sort of favoritism going on with the bard by any chance that hasn't been told in the story? Because it could be a possibility. Why does the bard have the deck? Why do they have the instant revivification from some sort of a god that can cover only a few party members? Why not cover all party members? Especially if you're going to be dealing with the deck of many things being so chaotic and crazy. It's only fair to revive everybody and basically be like, okay, let's not pull the card out this time, and just continue on and try to hold off from pulling it out. Deck of many things, if you don't want to have it in your campaign, if you don't have it in your game, you shouldn't have to have it in your game. I feel like it's one of those magical items that throws such a massive wrench in everything. But if you don't want to play with somebody that has deck of many things, you don't want to play in a campaign that has deck of many things that can just flip the script out of nowhere just on a whim, I don't think you have to. The fact that they kicked you out, maybe they did you a service, I don't know. Either way, no D&D is better than bad D&D. And if you enjoy having deck of many things there, and if they can't budge on deck of many things and can't understand where you're coming from, then maybe it's just better to just split up and play with somebody else. Anyway, let's get to the next story for today. Imploded before the session 0 even began. I just witnessed a brand new group implode before session 0 could even be organized. Has to be a speedrun to RPG horror stories. Sadly, a very poor reflection of our hobby. I recently joined a new local group, beginning as a way to meet new potential players in person to then form a group with. The initial chat got interest from about 40 plus people, mostly of brand new players looking to try the game for the first time. A handful have met, but the vast majority were completely strangers. The intention was for some of the chat to inform me at the pub, get to know people, and if anyone wanted to host the game, they could invite players. Maybe a few small groups might have formed from this, or maybe not. With so many people, the idea was to meet up, see who got on with who, and split into smaller groups to run games. A group chat was set up to organize a meeting up to share resources, and as with a large group of people, a handful didn't know how to behave. The chat became full of inappropriate and highly sexualized conversations, including jokes about SA targeted at specific people within the group, and understandably caused people to immediately leave. How do you have something like this devolve nearly instantly into SA jokes? Also, why SA jokes? Was this some sort of a pervert group or like a weird SA club that you're recruiting? Do people just have like weird one-track mind, like really messed up mind? Did horrible people just suddenly accidentally came together, just kind of realized, wait a minute, there's a bunch of us freaks here. Let's make all these sick jokes together. Also, jokes? I don't think it's exactly funny. I don't think SA is funny in the slightest. Some did speak up to say how unacceptable the topics were, especially for a public group of strangers. However, the organizers were active in the chat and did nothing. They didn't step in to establish and implement any rules or guidelines. Yikes. People who spoke up were ridiculed as unwelcome. Good riddance if they have no sense of humor. If that's the kind of thing they expect as humor, then sign me out, buddy. Sign me out. By the time half the group had already left, too little too late, the organizers finally logged the chat and tried encouraging people to still turn up. Just like that, the group is over before it began. No juicy drama, just a quick death. I knew such a large group would have drama, but I didn't expect it to fall apart quite so quickly. Mostly just a real shame that this had to be people's first introduction to D&D. Way to reinforce stereotypes of nerds being utterly socially inept. Edit. I've updated my post to be clearer. Comments all focus on a number of people, but my concern is very much about people feeling it accepting to make such comments in public. To clarify, this wasn't even going to be a game of 40 people. It was an informal meetup with the expectation that maybe 3 or 4 independent groups of 4 to 5 people might form. It wasn't even session 0 yet. 40 people joined the group? I'd be shocked if even 20 even turned up at best. Tables wouldn't work with more than 5 people in the game. I think at this point, probably having a public meetup like this is not a good thing. You probably want to go with vetting and like applications and stuff. I don't think you just gather a bunch of people with like just have kind of a similar interest and just expecting things to work out, because at the end of the day you're gonna have a bunch of people that honestly are not coming in there for D&D in the slightest, as we could tell from this. We're just a bunch of weirdos in there that basically just making inappropriate jokes at expense of everybody else basically there. Probably the best thing to do is, if you want people to basically join a group, set up applications, set up a way for people to apply, vet the applications, have the interviews and vet people directly there, and then trim the fat, so to speak. Get the people that are interested in playing and I want to play, and then get rid of people that don't want to play. Having just, hey, we just have 40 people show up together and just meet up in person before we even know each other whatsoever and expect it to work out. It's just not gonna work out. It's a bunch of strangers meeting up to hopefully make the pieces move and fit, but it's never gonna do that because you're dealing with strangers. You don't even know what the people are like. Hell, there could be weird freaks or perverts and stuff, or people that think SA jokes are funny. I don't think you want to associate with people like that. It's probably best to just vet people. You never know who you're dealing with online. There's a lot of freaks and weirdos online. You probably should keep yourself safe. I feel like this should be followed up with some sort of like a VPN sponsorship or something, but I don't have one, so no VPN sponsorship. It's just Morrow sponsorship. Let's move on to the next story for today. DM makes RP-centric campaign. Dislikes RP that ensues and plays favorites. Alright, so this happened a year or two back. This is online campaign where only the DM and other player knew each other. Everyone else was strangers. This would be relevant later. DM had pitched this as an RP heavy campaign with moral nuance with non-traditional setting based off of China when the king were on the last legs. I hope I pronounced it right. With corruption and drug abuse being rampant. This setting was pretty cool and consisted of the following characters. DM claimed to be into roleplay and moral nuance, hated when characters didn't get along with him and rogues plans. Fighter, DM's IRL friend that I mentioned was playing a chaotic neutral former soldier turned criminal mercenary and frequently clashed with the party due to being that guy. Me, playing a neutral evil warlock whose patron was a triad boss, importing and trading opium in order to make a profit and prove a point about how the Pui, in-game stand-in for the king, were corrupt and ineffective, was the only character with a gun. Bard and Rogue, playing as chaotic evil traveling performers who is secretly a cult worshipping the music, a false hydra that used them to obtain food. There used to be a whole troop, but when they failed to bring bodies to the false hydra, they were eaten. They were unsure why they have so much performance equipment since it's always been just the two of them, but it came in handy surprisingly often. Artificer, once a traditional shaman who wanted to protect the innocent and aid the common people of Tapia, in-game equivalent of China, only to be betrayed and disfigured, set her on fire and blasted her out of a cannon. She has since used metal to reforge the parts of her body by her last party. Now is lawful evil and is with that party to increase her power and wants to use the rising revolution to become a theocratic warlord. The first red flag popped up during session 0. DM was extremely disinterested in our characters and brushed them off before heaping praise on Fighter's character, who as you can tell was a little less unique than the rest of us. Either way, we brushed it off since the DM mentioned it was like 1 AM for them. Spend the rest of session 0 scheduling a better time for sessions so the DM wouldn't be so tired. So kick it off with player favoritism, huh? For your little buddy Fighter. I mean, maybe you Fighter talk about your character a lot, so maybe there's a lot of deep lore that nobody knows about. Still feels kind of weird to just immediately kick off with player favoritism, in my opinion. Session 1 goes by, with our characters meeting in an opium den. The session goes well for the most part, with everyone except Fighter getting into the character and role-playing pretty well, while Fighter mostly stood off the side and brooded. He joined us on the first quest, gave it to us by owner of the den to make up for beating a guy who has insulted us to death. Much to our confusion since he hasn't interacted with us much and wasn't even with us when we beat the guy to death. We go through with the quest and give the den owner his money before going off to find lodging. Thus the first session ends. Afterwards we received heavy criticism from Fighter, complaining about how he hadn't interacted with him enough and weren't giving his character the attention he deserves. This results in the rest of the party informing him that he would need to be more proactive in RP since he had stood off the side and brooded. This seemed to calm him down, but would backfire later. He is a dark and broody in a corner kind of character. Listen, it worked really well for, what was it called again? Aragorn from Lord of the Rings, being dark and broody stranger in a corner, but you're not Aragorn. You are a player playing a player character. You need to actually engage. Just because you make your character dark and broody in a corner doesn't mean people won't engage with him. If I am dark and broody in a corner and standing off to the side and just kind of doing this and not really interacting with anybody, guess what? People don't want to interact with me. I need to step in and try to interact. Roleplay. It's just very simple. If you don't engage, how could you expect people to engage with you? The next few sessions pass by pretty well. Only Fighter seems to get a lot more attention from NPCs than the rest of us, and his backstory comes up way more, despite it being way less detailed. Plus, he keeps getting cool magic powers and items, while we get a few that are less powerful, save for Artificer getting a cool amulet that gives her Dominate Mind, and Rogue getting a healing spell cantrip. Cantrip? What? Plus, DM is always super dismissive of our characters and what we want to do. and often intentionally squash the RP we were doing in order to focus more on fighter. Cantrip as a heal? Crazy! Also, yeah, there's clearly DM favoritism. I think it's because fighter went to the DM and said, man, I want my character to matter more. And DM said, say less, buddy. I got you. Your character's gonna be the most important character in the whole thing. The main character, the main star. And it's not gonna work out well because everybody else is gonna feel left out. Except for Rogue that gets a healing cantrip. Nuts, dude. Crazy. This is why discontent started to rise. The main reason we stuck around was that the world was genuinely really good and immersive. It was well written and clearly had a lot of effort put into it. So things proceeded until session 7. During session 7, we were in an intense interrogation of a pirate who knew where Bard's father was. It's going well. Until Fighter decides to kill the pirate before we can learn anything. This confuses and enrages everyone, but Fighter just says he was getting bored of Bard's backstory, so he killed the guy so we could move on. Bored of someone's backstory, so he decided to ruin it for somebody else? Bruh, this Fighter sucks. What a horrible player to be with. He gets bored of someone's backstory and decides, I'm bored now. I'm killing the NPC important to your backstory because I don't care about you or your character. God, so self-important. I feel like the DM really inflated Fighter's ego for no reason. DM was shockingly fine with this until I casted Eldritch Blast, centered through Fighter's stomach. I then told Rogue to use his cantrip on Fighter's stomach. He does. I cast Eldritch Blast again, through the stomach. Rogue heals him again. I inform him that he just made his last mistake and ruined months in-game weeks IRL of progress. DM suddenly has a random servant burst in and take pity on Fighter, before Artificer casts Dominate Mind on the servant and instructs him to unalive himself by jumping out the window. We're at the top floor of a really fancy hotel where this guy was staying. DM is shocked and the servant falling caused the police to become aware. Naturally, I decided we were going to get 3 more blasts in before Bard gets to kill him. The police burst in after the first, however, and spend the ensuing fight trying to save Fighter, who has killed 18 police in game and is the most wanted member of our party. But thanks to our rolls, we're able to get the blast, and then Bard kills Fighter via vicious mockery. We then win the fight against the police, linked to the DM angrily screaming at us for killing the main character. Ding, 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 ding. DM and Fighter already predetermined the Fighter was going to be the main character, which is why Fighter got all the bells and whistles the DM could offer, the magic items, the super magical abilities, everything. All the NPCs adored him and loved him, and cops wanted to save him, even though he clearly killed 18 cops. Was the most wanted man, wanted person in the entire town, in the entire country even potentially. But of course, the DM has to favor the favorite player, the main character, of course. And now the mask slips. Let's see how this ends. Evidently, the entire campaign was actually so that DM and Fighter can write a book showing off Fighter's cool OC. And we were all side characters who weren't important anyways, because we all die off in the second act to give Fighter's character more motivation. This obviously makes everyone super mad. What follows next is a shouting match, according to the others. I ditched the VC as soon as I heard main character. On the bright side, we're not making a webcomic with these characters, though we'll not be basing it off the campaign at all. We're just using the setting and characters, and the party, aside from Fighter, was pretty cool. I don't understand how DM and Fighter thought they could get away with this. Like, clearly player favoritism was already on the plate and then just continue going on and on and on. How did they think they were gonna get away with this? So blatant. And with Fighter having this huge hubris of like, well, I'm bored of your player character story, so I'm gonna kill the important NPC for a player character story and expect other players not to be upset? What a fool. Fighter, you're a fool. DM, you're a fool. The rest of the players, I mean, you guys did what you're supposed to do. Like, you weren't gonna take the crap, and you didn't let this thing fester to become a horrible experience where you basically become like a trapped soul in this campaign until, you know, session 12, and you basically just lose all passion and enthusiasm and just kind of go off into your own little corner. I'm glad you guys stood up for yourselves, and shame on the DM and Fighter for trying to pull this stupid trick. So unnecessary. Could have been a great campaign, could have been a great setting, great premise. No, has to ruin it through stupid means, of course. And with that, that's gonna be all our stories for today. I want to thank you very much for watching, and thanks so much for being here. If you like what I do, consider subscribing to the channel and leaving a like. Also, if the RPG Horror Stories ever goes down, or if you want to submit your own personalized horror story, email is down in the description below. I'll see you again in more Tales Tomorrow. Bye-bye.